Welcome to the Goddess Conjurer podcast and show. I'm Christina Margaret, a holistic empowerment and sobriety coach. I'm also a spiritual badass and truth seeker. Join me as I chat with wicked guests who are down to get real with raw, unfiltered conversations inspired to help you level up your spiritual and personal expansion. So settle in, get cozy, get ready, and let's enjoy the ride. Hey guys, Christina here. Welcome to the Goddess Conjurer podcast and show. Today I am with the very lovely Jess Hartwig. Jess and I just completed our holistic coaching certification together, and now she has been lovely enough to come and join the podcast for an episode. So hello, Jess. Thank you for being here.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Christina. It's such a privilege. I appreciate your inviting me to be on your show.
Well, I'm really happy to have you here. Jess is coming in all the way from beautiful Nevada.
Love it.
So yeah, that's fantastic. And she has recently told me that I am her only Canadian friend. So the privilege is really mine.
You're sweet. It's great. I'm so glad we came together.
Yeah, me too. So what brought you to, I thought we could talk about like what brought you into coaching. What did you do before? Why did you decide you wanted to do this? Why did you pick the holistic school of coaching? Let's just get into it.
Cool. Great question. You know, I would say it's just a lifetime of chapters of work of, graduating from college, going into a career in rides and attractions on the Las Vegas Strip, managing people, working that for many years, almost 15 years, having part-time jobs when my daughter was young, and I was lucky enough to stay home and work less and just use my brain and my body for different jobs. And then when she got older, a career change into child welfare, where I worked for a nonprofit, most recently for 7 years, Raise the Future.
Wow,
And
those are very vast.
they are. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of cool, different stuff. But in all of that, to answer your question, I realized that what I love most are conversations with people. I love when you have a conversation and you know that what you've said somehow impacted that person in a profound way, good or bad, hopefully good most of the time. And I also love that when you have that happen, it feels very spiritual for me. Holistic in a way, which is why I searched out when I wanted to get certified and move into life coaching for a holistic approach.
So you definitely want to have in-depth, deep conversation with people that's meaningful, that borders on that spiritual alignment. And that is one of the reasons that you're drawn to coaching and specifically holistic coaching.
Exactly.
So cool. Definitely can resonate with that. I am obviously a very spiritual person as well. Any one of my listeners would know that. One of the things that I love about you and that I was drawn to you is because you are a real chatty Cathy like I am. And so both of us kind of, as we went through the 6-month program, probably equally struggled with having too much conversation within our coaching containers while we were practicing with our other classmates, correct?
Right on, girl. Yes. Yes. And why I was drawn to you as well, because we're similar in that way. We're interested in people.
Yes. And I think we both learned a lot. I definitely have learned a lot about coaching in that container. And I think I've become a way better listener throughout the program. And that's been huge for me. And I'm super grateful for it. How has that struggle been for you?
Wow. Same as you, way better listener, much more intentional to practice the pause. I call it. Stop. What am I going to say? How do I want to say it? Listen deeper, pay closer attention to what people are saying. I'm much more aware of nonverbal communication and body language. Even though I've been aware of it, I feel like I'm much more, I guess, in tune with it,
Yeah.
to the
Do
point
you
where I
think
even,
that, no, example, go ahead,
yeah,
finish up.
example, like in my own family.
In your own family, you found your listening getting way better and becoming more in tune to really listening to what your family's saying rather than just like reacting
Totally.
yeah. Yeah.
Or hearing my family member say something and their body language is very different.
Than what they're saying.
Yes.
So do you think that deeper listening has helped you become more spiritually in tuned?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that a really big thing. I'm super intuitive and have quite a bit of like psychic capabilities, but I've noticed how listening, that's one of the reasons why listening is been harder for me, is because intuitively I see things beyond my client's question or like I can see this process already. So I've had to learn that it's not my process to unfold, and but definitely listening deeper and having intuitive abilities has allowed me to see things differently and see more of things. And so I feel like that's what you're really saying. And watching the body language now, paying deeper attention to other cues that people are giving you during conversation.
Totally. And to kind of piggyback what you just said, I feel like I make assumptions about what people are thinking or going to say because I feel intuitive. And I've learned that I cannot do that, even though I may be accurate or right or on the right track with where they're going or what they're saying.
Yeah.
I've got to slow down and let that process happen for that person.
Yeah, it's kind of like a people pleasing, or like I guess the helper, right? Let me help, let me fix.
It is.
Codependency just shoving itself right into the coaching practice.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
It's been a real personal learning experience and growth experience for me too. And as I know it has been for you. And so exciting to have met at this time in our lives to share in this experience of self-growth and career growth and so much growth, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you have totally left your other careers behind to take this on full time, correct?
I have.
Yeah.
It's only been about 7 months, and I resigned from my last position and decided to go into this business of my own and see what I could do with it.
How are you feeling through that process so far?
Wow, I'm feeling creative. I'm feeling freedom. I'm feeling no regret. I'm feeling worry about the future. Can I really pull off what I envision in my mind?
I would say yes.
Well, thank you. But like that imposter syndrome that we all talk about now.
Totally. That bullshit that shows up.
That shows up a lot.
Yeah.
And I clear it out and I just move on. But at the same time, loving it.
Yeah. And like the coolest thing about making these connections with our program and stuff is essentially, depending if we're working towards mentorship hours or where you're just leaning into like friendships with one another, that we can kind of like, we can bounce that shit off one another, that we can say, hey, I want to coach through a couple of things that are coming up for me, and reach out to our fellow classmates, as you and I have already had an opportunity to do some coaching back and forth too. I think that part is incredible, because I might not want a full term coaching program for myself right now, nor do I know if I have the time, but I love being able to just like work through some of my own imposter syndrome, some of my old conditioning, and any of my shit that shows up for me more regular. And so that in itself has also given us so much to help build that foundation strong for our own coaching businesses.
Totally. And wouldn't you say it just reinforces what works in coaching and why life coaching is so important, and how we should all have someone to supportively listen to us because of how it helped us?
Yeah. What do you like about coaching the most? Like, I don't know like if you've been in therapy, have you ever been in counseling? If you're able to compare the two of them, I spent so much time in therapy and counseling for years. That was super helpful, but I found coaching so much more powerful. And I'm glad for all the counseling that I did and times of therapy, because it was really valid and it helped me be seen. And I did unearth and unlayer a lot of things that I've been through, but coaching is so much different. And I'd love to know what you really like about it.
Well, thank you. And I'd like to ask you the same question, honestly. So I'll go first. But I would say what I really like about it and why I think it's very important and different than therapy is because, at least in my approach, and I think most of us, as a life coach, we're looking at the future and the present.
Mm.
I am not diving into the past at this
Right.
point. I haven't really had too much. There's a little bit of past issues with people that come up, but then really what we're doing is working with, what do you want to change in the present? What do you want to manifest? What do you want to resolve? What do you want to get rid of and move forward? And it's
Right.
not a diagnosis into the past.
Mm-hmm.
It comes up very minimally. And so I appreciate that. I
Right.
appreciate the forward focus.
Totally. Rather than a continuously rehashing what doesn't work, moving forward into, well, how can we make this work? Right.
Heck yeah. Is that what you feel? And would you mind expanding how you feel too?
Yeah, totally. I definitely feel that way. I mean, I think the past has a lot of value. And like I do shadow work with people, so I dive into people's past all the time, but it's not to live there. It's to learn how to live with those pieces of you that continue to show up in your life and don't serve you moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it holds value in acknowledging it and diving into it and unlayering it and unearthing it. But I don't find its value in staying in it. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people are struggling with, is that they're staying in their past because they're stuck and attached to their stories about who they are and what type of life they're supposed to live. And that is what the healing needs to be around, right? That's how we offer the healing, is by acknowledging that. A lot of us, especially as women, struggle with not being seen or heard. And so giving those pieces of us that still very much exist a voice, but then allowing that voice to help create a future that is meaningful for all the parts of you and all the layers of you.
So well said. Yes, you understand it. It's true. Yes. And that's what I also love about you, is the passion that you have, not only for women, but in all of those experiences that we've had and had to
Passionate
overcome.
is a good way to put it. It used to be definitely not, I couldn't articulate my passion in a place, there was, I feel like coaching has really given a platform to be passionate. And that's also what keeps me talking so much often, or interrupting during, those times when I could have been deep listening, is because the passion is so big. But I mean, I also think it's very important, and it's amazing that women can embody passionate things.
It is. And we all
Right.
really, I think we're here on this earth to embody passionate things, to
We are.
know what our purpose is, if we have more than one, which we probably do, but to at least have been able to dive into that one thing that you can serve other people through. I also think we're probably here to serve, each of us,
We're
in
here
one
to
way or
serve.
another,
Yeah,
whether you're a
absolutely.
musician or a doctor or, a builder of something, we're here to serve humanity. And so how can you best serve?
Totally. And how do we serve each other to our highest good?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And that brings me to something that I realized before I was coaching, that I felt like I self-proclaimed myself as a verbal healer, right? For whatever reason, I kept feeling like I'm a verbal healer in everything I was doing. I could tell that there were times when what I said to someone needed to have been said. And I think that is where like life coaching eventually progressed or evolved into my next chapter.
How did you learn how to cultivate the trust within yourself to know that your words could be healing to someone?
Probably, I like your question, probably to trust in the reaction you get from the person, that that reaction shows that something profound kind of triggered in their head. So we might call that that aha moment, but you know what I mean? When you go, whoa, like they needed to think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Those moments are pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you find yourself having those moments when you are being coached or coaching?
Well, I want to say, if I don't have it, then I keep talking with that person or to that person. So I like to have one of those in every conversation.
Yeah.
Do you find that that happens to you, where I might even say to someone, hey, we're supposed to be done in 5 minutes. You might have 10 more minutes or something, because I know we're close to getting there and we're not there yet. And I don't want to be done until I know we're there.
I mean, I like to finish anything with a climax. So
why am I not surprised?
I think it's important. Yeah, I really do. I love seeing that in people. I honestly, I do. I think it's just, this is why I love coaching, because I love people discovering for themselves what they're capable of knowing in themselves, to like these depths.
Right.
And that doesn't happen in counseling or therapy. You don't there. I mean, I think I remember like 3 or 4 aha moments, and it was like me talking my way through something I was talking about. And that's exactly what a good coach will do, is allow you to talk your way through your aha moments, to your climax, because otherwise you just end up being in a circle, right? So I think that's where learning those powerful questions was so intimidating to me when we got to that space within the coaching container. I was like, I don't know how to fucking ask powerful questions. I'm just doing this, like things are just coming out. But then I think like maybe that's imposter syndrome too. So realizing that like when you're deeply listening, then you're actually able to have powerful questions, because you're listening to what should be asked. I was not there.
But I would also say,
like, should be writing these down. What is a powerful question? Like, how are you going to know where the fuck to put that thing?
Well, I did the same thing, and then I had notes all over the place, and it was a complete disaster. But I would just say that you were and are naturally good at asking powerful questions. So then it really kind of freaks you out when you're like, okay, wait a minute, but you really are good at it. It's not that difficult.
I think like when you're listening, you're good at it's just there. Right.
It is.
But for some reason, I thought it was something outside of me, like something I'm going to have to learn, something, a new skill or tool that I'm going to have to bring in, instead of just knowing that anything, like, I mean, like you said, you're healing through verbal talk with people, right? Like through speaking to people. So that ability shows up in the ability to ask powerful questions. Does that make sense? Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that ability.
That's true.
To that level, we can all communicate, but whether we voice it or however we communicate it, but not everybody has that same ability.
Yeah, but we all have something so unique and special.
Yes, we do.
Right. And coaching allows you to uncover what that is about yourself.
It does. And that's why all of us have that person that we might resonate with, because of our uniqueness. We're all we can all serve the people we're meant to serve. Though those people are out there, I believe.
Totally. Everyone that we're attracted to in some way, shape, or form, like you and I having some kind of connection of wanting to talk and chat and stuff, somehow, whatever part of the mirror we're holding up to one another reflects something that we see in ourselves in each other. That's what is the attraction. That's why people fight so hard to stay in relationships where they no longer align. because the mirror doesn't go anymore. And we fight for these relationships where we've grown out of them.
We do.
Friendships, family, it happens all the time. And there's all of these, conditionings and societal pressures and family pressures to like, families forever. And well, you've been friends with them for so long, and all of these ideas around relationships. Whereas sometimes you've just outgrown it and the mirror just doesn't mirror anymore. And so stop trying to make it happen, right?
I know, you're so right. Like, why are we criticized for moving on? Whether literally or figuratively, why are we criticized? Like in our culture, we really should be applauded for saying, hey, we're not in alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. But instead we try and fit ourselves into boxes that we don't fit in anymore.
And I think it's because we honor lengthy relationships. There's something to be said when you can say you've been a friend or dated or in partnership with someone for freaking years, and
totally.
And I do value that. I really do.
There's so much value put on the length of things.
There is.
In the sense of relationship wise.
Yeah.
We always leave out. And I think that actually puts pressure on a lot of people to stay in long-term relationships too, that don't fucking work.
It does.
Like, well, like, remember your grandparents, they were together for like 60 years.
I know.
And it's like, you're a real letdown if you can't make something work. And no one tells you what it looks like to be with someone for 60 years. No one tells you that relationships are work.
Nobody.
Right. And that like actually choosing a part. I like that people use the language partner now rather than husband or wife, because and that's been actually a hard thing for me, because I mean, quite honestly, I don't know that my relationship has been a partnership all the time. I think some like real traditional roles have been played between my husband and I for a long time that are not serving of anyone's growth. And he might want to kill me for me to say that publicly. I don't really care, but it's true. Partnership was really triggering for me when I first heard that word, because I was really mirrored the fact that my relationship does not mirror a partnership.
Interesting. Yeah. Right.
And so I think that if we learned like what it was like to have a partnership and what partnership is and what real growth is, that relationships could be a lot different.
I know. And then on the other hand, a partnership with growth where you are together for 60 years is a freaking another amazing thing. And I often wonder, are human beings meant to be with one person, one partner?
Well, we're not.
And I don't think we are either. And we're jamming that together too.
According to my schooling in sex, love, and relationships, that was a year long. I took like a 600-hour sex, love, and relationship course.
Did you?
Love, and relationships course. Yeah. That's where I majored in female sexuality, and it was the most healing course like I've ever been in. It was incredible. I took it in 2020, and then like basically all through 2021 too. I was doing all my practicum hours and stuff. But we are not designed to be monogamous. We are not designed to stay with one person for our whole lives. It's just not normal of human nature, of primal nature, of our sexuality, of like our desire. But patriarchy, I mean, I'll just always blame patriarchy for the state of the world. So
no, I agree with that.
And the church. So thanks guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, that shit's really fucked up a lot of things. And like, not partnership could be great, but imagine partnership without expectation of how things are supposed to look and be.
I can't. It's really hard.
So ingrained.
But when you quiet your mind and let yourself go into that, what beautiful and interesting things come out of your thoughts,
Yeah. Like traditionally, like we did not live together. Men lived together and women lived together. Like we were the healers, we were the nurturers, we were, raising children. That was like the red tent. Like we bled together, we took care of each other, and like the men hunted, and like it worked, right? We had multiple partners, we had multiple children with multiple men, but we're like so conditioned into society and like this 2.5 children white picket fence. And like, we're not now, more than ever, we're not now, because we see like relationships ending in divorce more and more. And like people are understanding so much differently, but it still is just this, there's so much attachment to what it's supposed to look like and what it's supposed to be, that's really built based on nothing that has to do with our primal nature as human beings.
I know it. And the other thing that really pisses me off is then you look at what we're doing to our children in trauma, what our kids are experiencing, whether it's their own traumas or, abuses or whatever's going on, disconnected homes and disconnected parenting. That's a whole nother topic that I am very close to, having just worked in child welfare for so long, and how impactful it is to parent our kids. And we're not doing a great job.
No, we're not.
And so why can't we go back and rethink that and go back to what you just talked about?
Well, like, what are we teaching them?
We're teaching them, we don't want to be around you. Go get on the damn screen.
Yeah, exactly. And we're teaching them that that we don't have boundaries in our life. And we're teaching them that being happy isn't important. It's what it looks like on the outside. And we're teaching them to not feel their feelings.
Right.
Right.
And you can't express it. And
that don't express it. And if you can't express it, then you should be really angry. And also we're teaching children to be entitled to everything happening for them immediately.
And that's the other side of the coin, expressing their emotions and their feelings and their wants and their needs in such a way that they are entitled. I mean,
exactly.
We've crossed so many lines. I worry.
Like an understatement of the year. I am concerned. I'm generally a little concerned.
And the worst part is I don't have an answer to the dilemma.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I do.
Well, it's an undoing.
It's an undoing.
It's an undoing that needs to take place. It's like a plunking back into like what reality is, right? And getting real about being mind, body, spirit.
Yes.
Right? Yes. That like there is you can take care of your body and you can exercise every fucking day if you want, but if you're not taking care of your mind, you're not taking care of your spirit, you're only doing a little bit of the job.
Absolutely. It's all in your mind. Every single second of the day is a decision. How are you going to handle it? How are you going to best, serve your family and yourself first, in my opinion, so that you can serve others. But it is profound what needs to change. And it's, years and years and years. And then you add social media and internet and what we've done to so rapidly move away.
Well, and that is the energy of social media is rapid. It's like in Ayurveda, it is literally the energy of air and ether. There's no ground. There's nothing to grasp onto. It's completely false, right? It's a virtual reality.
It's a virtual reality. So right.
Right.
You're so right. You're so smart. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So save the world, girl.
Yeah, well, that's the goal. Fuck, it's a lot of work.
Damn. Well, you're the goddess, so you can do it.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying. One podcast at a time. Here we go. What's your dream?
My dream at this moment feels like it is to succeed in my dream of my life and my lifestyle, to just be continually on track with how I want my life to look, my business to grow, my relationships to be the best person that I can be each day in whatever situation I'm in or feeling. And it's just, it's not something super, super specific, like it probably should be.
How do you embody that part of you every day?
Rituals in my day that I know make me feel good. And when I'm not doing them, I know why I don't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I think daily rituals, one of the most important and valuable things that we can do, that we can offer others, simple daily routines are literally what will change your life.
Yes, and like you said earlier, they don't have to be what someone else is doing or what someone else says you should be doing. It's what works for you. And there's
Totally.
no rules. It's just do it, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just do it. And it's like furthering you into a space of your personal best, your growth, your highest self, right?
Right.
Is it moving you towards who you want to be or who you think you're supposed to be?
Is it? And then as you evolve and change, all
So will
of
your
those.
routines.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's like, I love to talk to clients about that and work with my group programs and that kind of stuff, like allowing the rigidity to release, stop having expectation of yourself that's black and white, of things looking the same, being the same, and feeling the same all the time. Because we're not the same. The only thing that is certain is change.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
like,
I would add your intuition,
of
because when
course,
you're listening to yourself, then suddenly you might get that thought of, oh, why am I talking on the phone to my girlfriend in the house when I could be outside in the sunshine on a chair? All I need to do is move the chair because it's in the wrong freaking spot. There's things like that are so simple that make your life so much more pleasant and just so much more happy.
And when we're living outside of our awareness, though, we don't make decisions based on that. We stay in that perpetual wheel of just doing every single day, where every day looks the same. But if we're more present and aware, that's when we would have the know-how or the awareness to say, oh, look, the sun's shining through the window, right?
Right. And take some big risks, whether it's like you said, leave a relationship, depart from a job, change where you live. We're talking big stuff.
Yeah. You've got to do the hard things.
You do.
Yeah. And honestly, like, not everyone's willing to climb a mountain, and that's totally fine. But the world would be a much more exciting place, like, especially as like I work with women specifically. Or do you work with women and men?
Yes, but the majority are women that I coincidentally happen to connect with.
Right. Yeah. Coincidentally, as you are a woman. Women connecting with other women. What a concept that we haven't been taught as well.
Most men, I feel, are less open to the coaching experience, but I've yet to really know that or not, because it's so new.
I'm just going to have barking dogs here as we're doing live. And I'm going to I might pause us, but I might not.
Up to you.
I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait it out. I know my oldest son is coming home, so we'll just let it roll. Okay. Still live. Now I lost my train of thought, but I'm sure it was really exciting. So I'll move to do you remember?
Well, I think what I'm thinking about is intuition again, but just how important that is.
What are you thinking about intuition? How often are you tapped into your intuition?
I'm trying to really stay tapped into it all the time. If a thought comes into my mind, a person comes into my mind, an idea, a need, staying connected to how my body feels. What does my body need? Whether it's exercise, nature, food, drink, a certain person. What do I need to say to somebody that I don't want to say? I mean, it's endless.
Yeah. So do you think that that's the hesitance for men in coaching, is because they're not as attached, or they're not as in tuned with their intuition, which will bring us full circle back to what I forgot about.
I do think that most men are not in tune, and that could be, and probably is, cultural.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely cultural. I know that women are generally like more intuitive, but there's such a disconnect for men to the feminine energy, and the feminine energy is what brings us intuition. And there's a disconnect for us into our masculine energy, because if we're too masculine, then we're judged for being too masculine. And if we're too much of anything, it's too much for anyone. So that is that action energy of the masculine, right? So that's patriarchy again with patriarchy. So there's so much misconception of humanity, right? And our roles.
I know, because we're all so unique and so different and so opinionated and so We all have our own thoughts, and it does jumble up what's really best within.
Yeah.
It really does.
We just have really
We're so
lost a
influenced.
connection.
We
Yeah.
have.
It's just conditioning.
We are.
Conditioning just keeps us lost from and disconnected from our intuition. And
Yes.
so the more we can step out of that, and the more we can become present, the more we can find daily rituals and routines that bring us more connected to that presence, the more we'll be coming from and making choices from a place that, you know, keeps us connected to our truths. And
I
that's
know.
the intuitive self.
Like our pure truths. And we're so
Mhm.
marketed. And like you said, it's all shoved into our thinking.
Mhm.
Whatever you're thinking about is it, so much of it is
Subconscious.
subconsciously pushed right in there.
Mhm. Yeah, you really have to you have to step out of it. You have
I
to
know.
step out of the influences,
You do. You
right?
do.
Think about I'm sober living, and just think about like the idea of the language around being intoxicated. You're under the influence, right?
Absolutely.
How does that keep you connected to your truth or your intuitive self? It doesn't. It dismisses
Doesn't.
it.
It
Yeah.
does not.
There's no
And
coincidence between these like types of the way things are language or articulated.
there's no coincidence in why on earth, especially in our country and most of the countries on this planet, we have such addiction problems, because we
Mhm.
are
Disconnected and traumatized
disconnected, right?
and trauma.
Yes, those two
Yeah.
things. And how do we fix that? How do we stop that?
We deal with the trauma. We
Mhm.
learn to deal with trauma. We recognize it, we accept it,
Accept it.
we learn where it lives in the body.
I love it. And I know you work on that so well and teach that. And I 1000% have such interest in that, and how to teach people from the beginning of their parenting.
Mhm.
Some people are not meant to be parents, and I hate to say that, because God gives you what you're meant to have, I guess. But,
Mhm. Right.
it's just what
Yeah, I hear you.
happens.
Yeah.
It changes our
Well,
world.
the generational trauma is a real thing.
It is. It's in us. It doesn't go away. It's
I
genetic,
don't think I have definitely, if I'm obviously not, I don't ever would never take back my ability to be a mother, but I know that knowing what I know now about trauma, I probably would have done things differently. Like I really would have. I really would have like tried to heal some of the shit prior to having children. I feel blessed and grateful that I'm still healing and I'm modeling healing to my children. And I know that like my healed self does the majority of the parenting now. So thank God for that. But I didn't get it. No, and I don't think anyone, until you really get how deep that goes and like how it's going to keep going, unless you deal with some of that stuff, then yeah, it's a game changer.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it is in us. It's in our essence. It's in our genetics. Like you said, it's
Yeah.
so deep. Like, how do you even
You do the shadow work.
repair it? Yeah.
You do the shadow work, because
doing
every time you heal, like you're a deep, especially these deep conditioned parts of you, well, like on a spiritual aspect, and like from the teachings that I teach and share, is like you're healing 7 generations back and 7 generations ahead of you. Like it is that deep when you allow yourself to go into that essence of your soul. Right?
What's the biggest thing you've learned when you look back at your essence of your soul, would you say?
Ooh, well, that other than like that I am a powerful bitch, which is very sarcastic and true. Like that I am perfectly okay. Like that I'm perfectly okay, that my experiences molded me, and that my ability to create the life that I want is ultimately in my hands. And that no matter what conditioning I may have had or grown up with, or what my life should look like due to my trauma, it doesn't have to. And I don't have to play out that story for the rest of my life, that I have will and free choice, and that it's up to me now.
Yeah. And how confident you are in that is so beautiful.
But it hasn't always been that way. I had to keep saying that. I've had to keep saying that till it became real. It's not fake it till you make it, but it is a rewriting of a story, you know? And so at first I didn't believe the worth, but I knew that a part of me did, and that was enough.
Yeah.
To keep going.
And that part of you was so deep within your gut.
Was it the deepest depths of like that's where conjuring the goddess is from.
Right.
Like it's coming up from the depths of hell and finding those pieces of you again.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you live, breathe, and show it and express it. And that's why you're so genuine. And if we all were that way, what an interesting world we'd have.
Well, that's why we want to rise these women up. Right? Women living authentically and empowered in who they are. I was teaching my class last night, and I said the two biggest most taboo things that women have a hard time and the biggest struggle with is their sexuality and money. And if we were able to be empowered in those two places alone within ourselves, our entire worlds would change and open up.
Oh, yes.
And because they're the two biggest places that we carry shame and the feeling of not being enough. And so if you can feel enough in who you are sexually and owning your sexuality as your own, and you can feel enough to earn money, to make money, and to create wealth in your life, you can fucking kill it.
You can.
And that's what needs to be accepted. And there's so much trauma and conditioning around those two things alone that make us up, that they're enough to keep us small.
You're right. I think when you look at profound women that have made an impact, whoever that woman is that comes to your mind, they've done just that, not knowing the innermost pieces of those women that come into my mind, but I feel like they are very comfortable with their sexuality, the ones I think about, and they are comfortable with their financial situation, whatever that is.
Yeah. Or their ability to create abundance, which does not have to necessarily be attached to money.
No,
it is just attached to creating abundance
in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it. Abundance is such a beautiful word. We overuse it, but we shouldn't, because it's okay.
No,
because
keep using abundance.
That's exactly what we
because need. Abundance is like, it's an infinite. It's attached to the universe, and the universe is infinite.
And the universe wants you to have it. The universe wants you to have it.
Absolutely.
So there's no reason why you shouldn't have whatever your abundance is. There's no reason why you shouldn't have it.
Yeah. The only thing telling you that you shouldn't have it is your conditioning and society, which is from society, culture, family, religion.
And a lot of us have things in our abundance we don't need because
a lot of us have an abundance of shit.
Yeah. I don't need 4 televisions in this house.
Yeah. No, the abundance is within.
It is. Yeah. All of that monetary stuff and all of those other things really don't matter.
That is the fake it till you make it. That's the ego. So the abundance of creation is where we get back into serving others.
Right. Exactly. And that's what feels good to me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm drawn to life.
It's authentic and it's real.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why you and I want to just touch as many people as we can and talk to as many people and coach and help others realize what we're talking about within themselves, because then it changes the world one ripple at a time.
That's right.
Exactly.
So what change do you want to see in the world?
Honestly, the change I would love to see in the world is somehow really shifting how we use the internet, how we use our electronics, screen time, everything I can think of, social media, all of it. How we need to make some major changes around that societally. Right. And I don't have the answers, but I don't think we're moving in the right direction.
Right. I agree. I don't want my children living in the meta.
No. So it goes back to what we said earlier. I really, that is the thing on my radar right now for the last few years, because that place we're in affects everything.
Totally. Well, and these devices and these programs have been manufactured and made for the purpose of keeping us disconnected to ourself, our being, and our truth.
Yes. And so that's very scary.
Yeah. But if we continue to do the work and use these devices to our, highest good, and to have great conversations like this, and be able to attend school where my teacher's in Florida and you're in Nevada and I'm in Canada, if we can keep this connection between people that want real change in the world going, then we have a fighting chance.
We do, because of the beautiful things coming out of that connection.
And then it also comes back to that letting go of, people, places, and things that no longer hold that mirror and don't align. So let monkeys stay in a cage that want to stay in a cage, and be open and carry and hold space for those who are ready to step out of that box.
And I really think that there needs to be something almost caged for our youth, so that they cannot step into the box until they are able and ready. And I have no idea how that really could work, because I know that our youth have more exposure to information, all types of information, than ever before in human history,
which can be good or bad, but we're living definitely in a time of too much of everything, right? And this idea of obtaining so much. And I would like to also have some belief that these little light beings that are in this next generation of children coming up have stepped into the planet at this time for a certain reason.
They have.
And so that they have a journey here and they have a purpose here, just like we do. Right. So watching how that's going to unfold in something that's become, really connected the world in so many positive ways. Even if there's negative, there's always going to be a negative attachment in something somewhere. Right.
Oh yeah. The negative things that I'm speaking of are lessons that will make us better people, better humans, and hopefully a better planet,
Hopefully. Yeah.
I guess definitely. It's all just that evolution of growth for everything. I hope.
Well, the more of us that connect and know that work needs to be done, I think the better.
I do too. And there's diverse minds out there that are coming from different angles and different thoughts, and being open to it.
Upbringing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have a choice what we decide to fill our minds with when we are on social media. And I think if we stepped in as parents and guided our children and paid attention to what it was that they are deciding to consume on a daily basis, and talking to them about what they're consuming and why is that, maybe taking some of that powerful questions to your kids and saying, why is it important for you to watch this kind of stuff when you could be learning about this, right? So what are you taking from it that is valuable, rather than just continuously monkey games?
I know. And there's this part of me that feels like we're losing the connection of human contact, even with our kids. And because we have helicopter mommed them to death. Right. And I think it's because I'm an older person. I mean, I'm a kid from 1970. Right. And so I think that we need our kids to be out doing things and being with others and experiencing things.
I've never been a helicopter parent. I've never talk to my kids like babies.
Me neither. I've tried not to.
No. I
Because
talk to
it's
the
living in
dog.
fear. It's all about fear, not letting them out of the house.
Yeah, no, I wish mine would get out of the house. They've been home for 2 weeks on spring break. They're driving me crazy.
You only got a couple more days, I think, and then they're back in
I'm
class.
like, please leave me alone now. But yeah, there's definitely work to be done. But I'm so happy and proud I'm grateful to be on the planet at this moment, even if there is so much work to do. And it is not easy work, and it is sometimes scary and overwhelming, but I really do believe that we have a purpose here that's much greater than we probably even realize yet. And I trust in the process that we are all coming together for the right reasons.
You're right. You're right. And I need to remind myself of that more, because I really do believe that. I just have more worry. I hold on to the worry of it all going on.
And so that's just your story and your attachment that maybe we can work through sometime.
We should.
Hilarious. Okay, well, Jess, thank you for being here so much. I would love to just keep talking to you more, but I have parently duties to do today. And so I must drive my child to a sporting event very soon here. So I will say goodbye, and I know I will talk to you soon. And thank you to anyone who dropped by and was listening today, and take care.
Thank you. You take care too. I love where your priorities are, girl. Go take that kid around.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
All day from the morning.